The National Briefing with me, Kelly Nash, back on the air, and it's story time. Yes, I'm going to tell you the same story two different ways. The way that the media is reporting it, and then the real way. But let's start with the way the media is reporting it. We have a young lady, struggling mother, trying to make ends meet up in Chicago, and she's legally here in the United States. She's following all the rules, and she was on her way to work at a daycare center when ICE agents illegally pursued her into the facility, the daycare facility, and arrested her in front of shocked children who were now frightened. They had to close the school for the rest of the day. We got parents very upset. Matter of fact, this is a mother, Tara Goodarzi. She's talking midday after this. She was told, I guess you got to come get your kid because we're closing up shop for the rest of the day after the big trauma.
I am horrified by what has happened here today. Our community has been shattered. Our families have been traumatized. The children were crying. The parents were crying. It's a scene that I don't think any of us have ever witnessed before and will ever forget.
So, again, that's emotional. Emotions have power. Tara Goodarzi, I'll say, not a very good actress. Just being honest, you're not very good. But she's trying to sell the point that the kids are frightened. We're frightened. We're all shocked. We'll never get over this. We're permanently scarred by what happened in our school today. And again, this lady, we love this lady. She's a beautiful young mother. And why would they do this to, by the way, her name is Diana Patricia Santillano Galeano, originally from Colombia, but just chasing the American dream and trying to help our kids. And then this is the reward she gets. Now, later on, they had a rally or something about 7 p.m. last night. So obviously, this mother's had more time to practice and rehearse how upset she is. So she's going to bring a little bit better performance than our first mom, Tara. Unfortunately for her name's not mentioned on the TV screen, but she really brings it. She's on a bullhorn, letting the crowd know that she's very upset.
We are enraged. I am the mother of 2 children who are at this daycare. Every single one of the daycare workers is afraid. Imagine taking your child to a daycare where they are now at risk of their teachers leaving them in the class because they have been detained for being brown, for speaking Spanish.
It seems crazy, right? We're arresting people for being brown and speaking Spanish? And your children are traumatized? They have to see this? This is horrible. So she's very upset. The children are upset. The kids are crying. And, like if I go to CBS News, the headline, ICE agents detain teacher at the Chicago Daycare Center, Reto de Sol in North Center. And it shows the 2, by the way, they're lying right off the bat. The video shows 2 masked federal agents. No, they doesn't. It shows 1 masked federal agent and another unmasked federal agent because I remember thinking, did that dude's mask fall off? Like, you're totally getting doxxed. But anyway, and they go on to say that, she's a great lady and blah, blah, blah. And people can't understand. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. And why would the agents go into the school and traumatize the children? Okay, that's one story. Let's go to what DHS says. Now, and this is not really being reported anywhere. I can't even find this on conservative, like the Washington Times doesn't have this story yet. And lots of other, now Fox did have it. But anyway, most media outlets not telling the DHS story. DHS.gov has a story that they have entitled, DHS sets the record straight on the illegal aliens' attempt to evade arrest by recklessly attempting to barricade themselves in a Chicago daycare. So that sounds a lot different than what we just heard. Okay, now the lady that we just talked about earlier, Diana Patricia Santillano Galeano from Colombia, according to DHS, she illegally entered the country in June of 2023. Oh, illegally entered the country? Okay, so when you said she was legal, that's not actually accurate. She's not here legally. The Biden administration gave her a a little pass there. And they said, you can come back in a couple of years for your trial. And I'm sure we'll never see you again. And why don't you go to Chicago? That's a sanctuary city, so nobody will mess with you there. So that's how she ended up in Chicago. Now, this is really unbelievable. The reason they weren't even going to mess with this lady, she was not on anybody's radar until a couple of months ago when she hired human smugglers, human traffickers. Now, she would say, I did it for a good reason. The reason she reached out to the Colombia human traffickers and paid them money was to smuggle her two children, I think one's 16, the other 17, into the United States. Okay, that's a huge problem. That says red flag all over the place. You're engaging in illegal activities. You're supporting cartel members. You're now sending money to cartel members, and you didn't think anything was going to happen. But that's how she ended up on their radar. Now, she would say, I'm doing it just to get my children. Isn't that a good thing? We're uniting the family. I thought that conservatives love to unite the family. As a conservative, I would agree. We love uniting the families. We also don't abandon our children for 2 years. You came here in June of 2023. You did this in October of 2025. So for more than 2 years, were they living on their own in Colombia? What kind of mother are you? They might have been safer living on their own in Colombia than having their mother hire the cartel to smuggle their children across the border. So that's how she ended up on the radar. Then they pulled her over. She then got out of the vehicle and ran. And there's another guy in the vehicle who's also an illegal alien. Now, they run to the daycare center. I don't know what they thought was going to happen when they got to the daycare center. Like, we're in a sanctuary city. We're now in a sanctuary building inside the sanctuary city. Now you really can't get us. No, that's not how federal law works. So she never actually made it into the building. She made it into the vestibule there, because you got the double doors. So she got through the first set of doors, but didn't make it through the second set of doors. And whoever that guy was couldn't give a rip about her because he just kept going. He was obviously ahead of her and he didn't look back. So they drag her out, arrest her. There's no kids there. Nobody's seeing that, except for somebody in the parking lot is filming this. So you can see the video. That's how I saw the guy with the mask off and going, oh my gosh, bro, you're about to get doxxed. The other guy tries to barricade himself in the daycare center. So I'm sure some kids did see that. Let me ask a question. Do you think when somebody runs into, who doesn't work there, by the way, he's not an employee, some unknown male figure runs into a school filled with children under the age of 5 and then tries to barricade themselves in the building, is it a good idea if at that point the law enforcement officials say, you know what, enough of that. You're cool, bro. When you're done, just come on out. We'll wait for you. We'll arrest you later. Or should they say, now the children are really at risk and we need to stop this? They chose B, which according to the people in Chicago was the wrong answer. I would agree it was the right answer. I agree with DHS. That dude needed to be cuffed and stuffed el pronto. So that's the way it went down in Chicago. Now, the reason I tell you both stories, because stories are powerful. That's why, you look at the Bible. Jesus told stories called parables. The human brain is set up to process stories, attach emotions to them. If you don't have the full picture, you get different emotions. Or, look, that's the first sin, right? The serpent tempts Eve, and Eve believes the serpent instead of God. Who do you believe? Who is the authority figures that you're going to believe? Because you have to believe somebody. Somebody has to be believed. And I understand a lot of people say that, both versions of the story, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Okay. Well, you figure out what you believe. Do you believe that a hardworking, legally here, American work visa person or whatever that came into the country legally was detained simply because she speaks Spanish and is brown? And that's why they tried to pull her over and she ended up getting arrested inside the daycare center. Is that what you believe? apparently a bunch of people believe that story because here's a mother in Chicago, Erin Hortetsky. She posted this on GoFundMe.com. Our beloved teacher, who's not just an educator, but a central part to our community and the hearts of our children, has been illegally detained by ICE this morning for just showing up to work. She was living and working legally in the United States and is the mother of 2 young children who are now left without a caregiver. I would point out, by the way, they were left without a caregiver for 2 years. But anyway, we're trying to raise money right now because she's going to need a lot of help legally, and the kids are going to need money. Please donate what you can. Well, so far, in just a few hours, that has raised over $60,000. So people, and I'll point out, a lot of these donations are $10, $15. I don't know why Esther Atkins gave $16. But anyway, that's what it, but again, most of these seem to be under $100, and they've raised over $60,000 in just a few hours. So there's a lot of people who believe that version of events. They believe that story. It's important that you get the truth out and understand that emotions are powerful. I know that conservatives are less moved by emotions, and we actually try to override our emotions and get facts. That's not the way a lot of Americans think. And you're not going to get to the nut jobs, but the people in the middle who allow their emotions to dictate how they feel, it's important that they get the real story, that this mother is a horrible mother who abandoned her children for 2 years and then hired a drug cartel to smuggle her kids in. That story is a completely different story than she got arrested for speaking Spanish.